Hi, I'm Jo Pratt and today I'm going to show you how to make a tomato, asparagus and ricotta tart, which is my idea of a modern alternative to a traditional quiche. It's brilliant if you've got vegetarians coming over, perfect al fresco dining or even for a light lunch. Now first thing, I'm using a ready rolled puff pastry sheet and I've put it onto a baking tray, just lined with some baking paper, and I'm going to pierce the top just with a fork several times just to prevent the air from making this rise up too much when it's got the topping on. And stick that to one side. And then for the topping, I'm using 250 grams of ricotta cheese, 2 eggs that are beaten. I'm just using large eggs for this. I've got 2 cloves of garlic, which I'm just going to crush straight into the top. The garlic's a really nice fresh flavour that goes into here. If you're not a fan, then you could just maybe cut it down to 1, but it does work really nicely with the rest of the flavours. I'm going to use 25 grams of Parmesan cheese. So in this bowl I've got 50 grams and half of it goes in now and the other half goes on top when it's got the filling already there. So just give this a little mix up. Season with some salt and pepper. You can be quite generous with the pepper because it's nice to have a little bit of a bite to this. And also the salt, because ricotta cheese does lend itself to just needing a little bit of extra seasoning. And then the final thing to add into this bowl is some basil. So I'm just going to take a pot of basil, just tear off the top, because you can use all of the stalks as well, and then just chop finely, so it's really nice and fresh and summery with the basil. However, you could use other herbs as well. You could use some marjoram, or some thyme, or even oregano, but probably don't go quite so generous if you're going to use those flavours, because they're slightly stronger than basil. Pop it into the bowl. And give this a good mix together. And then you want to just place this on top of this pastry case and spread it out, leaving a border of about 1 centimetre just around the edges. So as you can see, it's much easier than making a big pastry case that you've got to pre-bake as if you're going to make a quiche. And it's much lighter in flavour and texture as well. If you wanted to, you could prepare the stage ahead of cooking it. So if you were planning on doing this maybe for a lunch party or even a dinner party, pop this in the fridge and then you can add the rest of your topping just before you're going to cook it. And for the topping, I've got some asparagus, nice fresh summery asparagus, and I've actually just taken the stalk and snapped where it naturally wants to snap, and that just takes away that woody edge. There's no need to peel it or spend a long time in preparing it. Just do it as simply as this, and then you want to lay this on top of your tart. So I'm going to do them sort of alternate tip to tail. And then in the middle there I'm going to add another ingredient, so I'm just going to leave a little gap in between the two. And I'm just using 10 spears for this, but depending on the thickness of your asparagus, you can put as many on there as you want to. And then I've got some tomatoes. Now these are fairly small plum tomatoes. Depending on the size, you could put some cherry tomatoes in there if you wanted to. We can use larger tomatoes and cut them up into smaller pieces, but I'm just taking these plum tomatoes, cutting them into quarters. And then you want to lay those in the middle of the asparagus. I mean, you can be as random as you want to with this. You could always add other ingredients as well. If you didn't want to use asparagus, you could maybe use some tender stem broccoli, or you could put just tomatoes on there. You could put olives on, capers. It's really a bit like a pizza, I suppose, as well as being similar to a quiche, because you can just be as versatile as you want to with any of your flavours. Just leave that at that, and then you want to sprinkle the rest of this cheese. So I've got 25 grams of Parmesan cheese over the top, and this will give it a really nice golden texture over the surface, and because it's finely grated it'll melt really quickly. I'm going to give a twist of pepper. What I am going to do is just add a drizzle of olive oil over the top, and this will just help it to go even more golden and look lovely and shiny and glossy when it's cooked. And that is your tart ready to place into the oven. You want to put it on 200 or 180 fan, gas mark 6, for around about 30 minutes until it's lovely and golden. So there we have our delicious golden tart, which can either be served hot or at room temperature as a starter or a main course with a green salad, and it's just as delicious served cold for picnic food.